right, well, I guess I'm going to be running this one. There we go. Anyway, welcome to Friday Night with Freedom Reigns on Blog Talk Radio. I'm co-host Kate of Gaia on Tony Z's wonderful Cosmic Blueprint show, and I just got him logged onto the board here. I'm not sure if he's there yet. We're just doing our best right now to get Marty Leeds aboard so that we're going to have one hell of a show tonight. The Master Pie Cutter, as I like to call him now. That boy knows his way around pie, you know. Yeah, there you are, Tony. How you doing?
I'm here. I'm just trying to drag Marty in. I'm getting him through the Skype. Skype assault course is the word.
Oh yeah, there we go. The Skype assault course is right. Sometimes it can be quite a pain to get on here. But hey, anyway, it's all good. We get there, and it's wonderful stuff. You know, it's been quite a day. Happy New Age! Yay! You only get to say this once every 25,920 years, so I figure I might as well say it a few times just to get it out there. Had a few people wish me Merry Christmas. I just looked them square in the eyes. Merry Christmas? Oh no! Happy Solstice! Happy New Age! We're in Aquarius finally, and always a return smile. Yeah, I getcha. You know, so it was a good day. It's always a good day. And we'll go breathing and everything.
Interesting vibes today, I think, Kate.
Yeah, someone's got up my pineal with a jackhammer since yesterday about noon, and it's how do I describe it? It's not uncomfortable, and it's not painful, and it's painful and uncomfortable. I can't describe it. It's like it's there, but it doesn't matter. I don't know. I can't really explain it, but yeah. Needless to say, it's been an incredible couple of weeks with stuff that I know that I'm coming across in Oz, the real spelling of Zion in Oz. Yeah, you know, just get stranger by the minute. So I guess I've got my eyes on the board here, Tony. So as soon as Marty shows up, I'll be able to bring him on board, so I can let you know.
Yep, cool.
Yeah,
trying to get it done now.
Yeah, no worries, no stress. We got a couple of hours, and you know, it's we made it. That's the only thing that was going through my mind today was, whoa, made it, 21st December, 2012. You know, how many years in history has this date been talked about, and here we are right in it. And there's going to be a lot of people that won't give it a second notice, and there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be, you know, wildly disappointed that the world didn't end today. Sorry about that. Just the age of Pisces is gone. Nice to see the backside of that fish. You know, nothing against you Pisceans out there. I'd rather be in the I know than the I believe realms, and every zodiac has its job to do. So, well done, Pisces. Made for one hell of a game for the last 2,100 years, but I'd rather play the higher level games. But you know what? Without the the high, you don't know what the low is, and without the low, you don't know what the high is. So this is why everything is equally important, equally critical. Anything that you want to report from your end of things in the UK, Tony? I just don't want to distract you if you're helping Marty. So.
Yeah, it's all right. I was just typing away there. Apparently Marty's, he's still trying to get in through the blue Skype, but no, lots of different things going on, but we'll get to them when we get the show going on. Synchronicity went live today at 11 minutes past 11.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, I kind of figured it'd be something like that. I know Paul and you guys, and you've been working so hard on it. And again, it's we all have our threads, and I was hoping that Cindy was going to join us tonight. But she's working away with Sandy, trying to get some stuff done with Synchronicity, and I guess she had another crash course with Paul today on the site, so she's hell-bent for leather to get that sorted out. And like I said to her, that she couldn't make it. I'm thinking, no problem. You've got your thread to deal with, and we've got ours. So, you know, carry on, let's weave. And that's what we're doing. So I got a chance to see my puppy today. I'm a very happy girl, Gabby, and boy, is she growing. My goodness. Just a bundle of love. Incredible. So I take it you're distracted, so I won't I won't have a discussion with you, Tony. I'll just talk to myself now. Anyway, what else? Oh, we had a really good webinar last night. They're always good. I really enjoy doing the webinars for Maria and the crew. And again, I put the information up last night. And anyone that wants to join in these, there are donations involved. I don't get anything from it. I don't want anything from it. I do my part to keep the webinars so others can be able to do it as well. So, yeah, it was just a really good night going over one of the more recent documents that I put together and that I'm still working on right now. And just amazing the synchronicities of, you know, between the cartoons and the movies and just paying attention in the now and, you know, coinciding your thoughts with the pre-sent moment instead of the now moment, you really start to see stuff, and it's getting to be kind of funny. And I was explaining to my friend here the difference between what is now and what is pre-sent. And it's like in the movie Gamer, the now is what Gerard Butler was as a convict, and the pre-sent was his operator, the kid, operating him like a video game player. So there's that little bit of delay between what you pre-sent to what you are experiencing now. And that's kind of where we got interfered with. But you have to understand this, guys. You really got to get this. It is just a show. It is just a movie, literally, that we're living here. It's a holographic universe. It's all electric, magnetic energy. And the further I walk down this yellow brick road, the more difficult. Well, how do I want to explain this? Well, the more difficult it is to explain, and all the more reason why it was so difficult to find in the first place, because you've really got to get outside the box on it, and you got to put your kit on, and you got to put your, your pre-now. You know, it's like the movie. They were dealing with pre-crime, Tom Cruise movie, and it's the same sort of thing, in that what you manifest in your thought is a preset to you to formulate your now. If you can envision this movie that's unfolding in front of you, much like a locomotive racing down the tracks, and just ahead of it, you're throwing the tracks down for it to keep running. And that's why when we get distracted, we don't put our tracks down properly, and we get derailed. So the game here is to lay down as much track ahead of you as possible, so that you don't end up getting derailed. And I think for me that is the best analogy in my own mind to sort it out where it makes sense. So it's about laying down your tracks of pre-sent information that you have already got, and you're just relaying it to the meat stick puppet that you're using. So interesting also in the game, the bad guy towards the end of it, he goes off on this skit about having no strings, and he sings the Pinocchio song, having no strings. A rather creepy version of it, but it was still, there it is. And another movie that resonates heavily with me is Pinocchio and Peter Pan, and of course the ultimate for me is The Wizard of Oz, where the answers are there. And we are all looking for Zion in Oz, and the Emerald City is your heart. And the sooner that you can figure that part of it out, the happier you're going to be. Glinda, the Good Witch, always said to you, you've always had it. All you had to do was call upon it, and that is the heart. That is where your preset knowledge is coming from, your intuitives that will tell you exactly what you need to be doing, and it's your Pinocchio and Jiminy Cricket in one. So anyway, Tony, how are we doing on that end? Any word?
Yeah, he's having a lot of trouble. He says nothing's happening when he's clicking through, and it's taken him through it 2 or 3 times already. So having quite a few problems here.
Okay, well, you may suggest to him to actually just reboot his computer and try again, because sometimes you can get hiccups and glitches that way. If you've tried a few times where it won't go through, that's what I do. I had to do that a few times when I was just calling in through the Skype.
Okay, we'll try that.
Yeah. Okay, it's a little different when you're calling into the board.
Yeah. Okay.
Plus, you get lots of preemptive time to see what's going on, and you don't end up in a panic trying to get on the show, which happens many times with people. So beyond that, here we are, the 21st. No, the world didn't end. Yes, the new age is upon us, and I believe at 2100 hours or 9 p.m. Eastern Standard is when we cross the rift itself. So that was my understanding anyway. At which point, we just lost Tony. It's going to be one of those nights, is it? Okay. Hey, let's cut to a tune. No, let's not. It's the joy of being a Gemini. I can talk to myself. Anyway, I'm going to crack open the chat room and see who's about in there. And here we go. All right. I'm just waiting for the room to load up. But trying to think, a little synchronicity I came across yesterday with, what do you call it? Cygnus, of course. For those that know in Skype, that's my tag, Cygnus Trumpet. So, and Cygnus, the constellation, the Swan constellation, has always had a lot of resonance with me. And isn't it interesting that I just got my short from BC today? Yep, it's public. It's nothing private on that dog. Anyway, it's quite different than the long form. Same information, except they didn't bother to put parent, so I guess the Crown's assuming to be my parent. Not a chance. Hey, Cosmic Manny, how you doing? Hello, Rube. Minority Report. Thanks, Billy. And I know who you really are. Thanks, Billy. Appreciate it. Yeah, it is the new Great Gatsby trailer. You got you need to put a link up if you can find that, Billy. That'd be awesome. Anyway, it's just a coincidence that Cygnus is actually, it means swan. And for a long time, the Skype tag was the ugly duckling. And, people, why are you calling yourself that? And that's, you have to look at what the concept of the ugly duckling is. Right? It's the individual that doesn't know who they are, trying to fit in with everyone that also doesn't know who they are, and alienates them until the realization comes at the end that, gosh darn, when you think it's all fallen to pieces, you're dealing with your own mirror, and then you see what it is you're supposed to be. And we have both Marty and Tony. Yes, there they are. Okay, guys, both your mics are hot. I just want to finish this one little snippet, then we're going to let you rip, Marty. Regarding Cygnus, now I was thinking, going full green language on this, signature, right? So there's signet yours. That's why they want you to give up your signet. My signet, not yours, basically. And signet was always something that you had as a ring to seal. It was a signet ring to seal documents. And of course they want your signet. Well, when it says signature, what you've done is effectively said signet yours. Not a chance. I keep mine. Anyway, Marty, how are you doing?
Good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear, my friend. So awesome to have you on board tonight.
Hey, sorry, it took me a while to get going.
That's normal for us. Don't worry about it. And you probably haven't met me before. I'm a two-spirit, so just so you know that. The voice is much lower than boobs would indicate. Tony, are you there?
I am here now.
Yeah,
finally. Yep.
yeah, you dropped off there. I was wondering what happened. I'm thinking, oh, great, I'm going to be running solo tonight. Anyway,
I had to go and get the link because it wouldn't let him through the normal way. So the only way to do it was to drop off and come back.
Okay. We'll take the helm, Tony. This is your helm, so I'm just going to sit back for a bit and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, cool. How's everybody out there tonight? Hopefully you all survived the rift like we did. And it's going to be a pretty interesting ride, should we say. Marty, we finally got you on. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. How are you guys?
I'm not bad at all, not bad at all. It's been a bit of a woo-woo day, hasn't it? Sort of like vibrational sort of like terms, but yeah, it's all good. We made it through. We came through the other end, and I didn't doubt it for a minute, really, did you?
Yeah, people's consciousness is pretty erratic right now, I guess you could say, huh?
Yeah. We're talking with Santo. It's planetary alignments, isn't it? Harmonics.
Yeah.
So how you been doing? What's your 21st been like?
It's been good, just kind of took it easy last night and today. So yeah, I've got family Christmas tomorrow and that sort of thing. So yeah, just kind of going along, just living my life as normal, you know.
Cool. You're going with the Christmas bit, not the solstice bit.
Yeah, just a family. Yeah. So tomorrow we celebrate our Christmas just because of fiance. She's got several people she's got to visit for Christmas, so we try to fit it all in. So that's tomorrow. So, but yeah, there's a Christmas party at the local get together that I'm going to head to tonight as well. So.
Awesome. Sounds like you've got a few things on your plate to get done, then.
Yeah. So this is one of them. Though I wanted to make time since I missed you guys last time. I apologize for that. So.
You were meant to be here now, not then, so it's all good.
Cool. So
yeah, rock and roll. So Marty, obviously we've done a little bit of work to find out what the information's all about and how it fits. I must say, from my point of view, it's absolutely awesome. Thank you for that. We really needed to figure this big piece of the puzzle out because that's what we've been doing, cracking lots and lots of different pieces of the puzzle. So I wonder if you could explain to the listeners just what it is you've managed to uncover and go through it a little bit just to give everybody a bit of a zip file to bring them up to speed.
Sure, yeah. Marty Leeds. I've got the website, martyleeds33.com, and I'm also on a site with Santa Spinacci, Bill Donahue, Joanne Oldenkamp, a couple of different teachers that we just got aboard called the School of the Holy Science.org. And I have 2 books out right now, one called Pi the Great Work, and then one called Pi in the English Alphabet Volume 1. And I just sent Volume 2 to the printer, so hopefully that'll be out in the next month or 2 if everything goes well. First book that I wrote is basically like a mathematical study on basically numerological concepts. And basically it's focused around pi, and kind of what it is basically kind of mishmashing, kind of blurring the lines between symbolism, numbers, numerology, astrology, philosophy, poetry, and just try to kind of put it all into one in a fun, highly illustrated kind of way. And then Volume 1, Pi in the English Alphabet Volume 1, is basically using pi once again. And what I've kind of uncovered is a mathematical sequence to the English alphabet. And so that's what Volume 1 and Volume 2 is about, and then I'll be doing a Volume 3 on this, at least 3 volumes on this, and in the next year or whatever. But I have an ongoing web series that you can get at Marty Leeds 33 or just at YouTube, Marty Leeds 33, and I basically go over just a bunch of different concepts, things like using this cipher on a whole bunch of different things, ideas like squaring the circle, the solar system, like the name of Hermes Trismegistus. I just did one on raising the Kundalini, and that's gotten a really good response so far. So yeah, that's kind of the thrust of what I'm doing. And like I said, it's an ongoing web series, and the books are ongoing as well. So there's a lot of information out there for listeners. So
absolutely. Well, I don't know about 3 volumes, but I dare say you might have considered the harmonics and the resonance and the shape of the letters as well.
Just getting into numbers and letters, first and foremost, they're glyphs, they're symbols. And so when I started looking at this stuff philosophically and really getting into symbolism, because I was, pretty immersed in alchemy and Freemasonry and stuff like that, and a lot of times not even, reading in depth about some of this stuff, really just kind of looking at illustrations. Because symbolism speaks on many levels, and we're not really taught to even look at symbols, even though they affect every second of our day. We're bombarded by symbols all day long. So just looking at a lot of these alchemical illustrations and things like that, I was just trying to intuit what these things meant. And so when I looked at numbers and then eventually got into letters, but especially with numbers, it's to me it was like this idea, this numerological idea, which we can go over, this idea of using a base 10 system being 0 through 9. Looking at those symbols, it seemed like you could make a lot of sense to the other symbols that are used in alchemy and Freemasonry with number, that there was a numerical foundation behind all of these symbols in one way. And so that's kind of how I approached it. And then, like I said, that led into the letters itself, of course. And so, yeah, that's where my focus has been, and basically around pi. Because pi seems to be this very elusive number, a very, very important number in mathematics as well. So.
Yeah, one of the things I did want to bring up with you, this is really the only thing I wanted to discuss. There's many things. I love how you slice up a pie. You slice it so well. And we speak the same language. But one of the things that I came across, I just wanted to get your feedback on it, is given that a circle, when you draw it on a sheet of paper, better yet, if you have a string and you make a circle, a perfect circle with it, you cannot measure the area of it unless you put 4 points, and at which point you got the width and the height. Now, when you take that same length of string, which is already defined with an area made into a box, once you put it into a circle, you cannot get its perfect area. And my intuitive on that was a circle, when you draw it, is not a two-dimensional image. It is actually a spiral, in that it goes on infinitely, just like the pie does.
Yeah, you were kind of breaking up there, but I think I get the general question. There's, when you look in nature, there is no perfect circle. There's no perfect line. And what pi represented to me was this mathematical representation of the creation of our universe, and that this universe is always unfolding and spiraling. Everything is moving. Everything is in motion. There's spin. The fundamental energy in quantum physics has spin, so all of this energy manifests through that spin. So to me, a circle in one way, this isn't esoteric, and this is a little bit metaphorical, but a perfect circle is actually 3. If you could somehow make the universe static, which you can't, it's actually a 3. And if you could actually draw that perfect circle, it would be a 3. What pi represents is, and there's actually a graphic on Wikipedia I think you could look at too, where it's pi and it's kind of it's rolling out of its center. And then this is a perfect representation of what kind of pi represents. Is that perfect circle that encased all the potential in the universe in one way, and then it was cracked and it rolled out of its center. It spiraled everything out. God said, "Let there be light." The Big Bang, the Om. And that's what pi represented to me. And so that diameter is really is the cutting of that primordial egg. You could call it the philosopher's egg, the primordial egg. In Hinduism, it's called the Brahmanda. Brahma meaning expanding cosmos, and Anda meaning egg, and it's basically a representation of that. So if I heard you correctly, I'm hoping that answers that question anyway.
Yeah, actually, that's the whole point of what I was making, in that the circle, that when you draw it, is not two-dimensional. It's actually 3. It is an infinite. Has infinite depth due to the spiraling nature in which pi represents, because it's an infinite number.
Yeah, exactly.
So the circle is infinite as well. So yeah, we're on the same page. Perfect. I already knew that, but again, it's just checking my own intuitives, and and by the way, speak very esoterically on this show, because people get really pissed off when we don't. They're expecting way outside the box on this show, and that's what we give them. So speak freely is what I'm saying.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and the circle, just the circle in general. The thing that I like about it geometrically, is that it encapsulates the most amount of space. And so if you take a circle into 3 dimension, it encapsulates the most volume. And so what this means to me, when you think about this philosophically anyway, is the outer limits of your thoughts in one way. It's the outer limits of the universe in one way. It's as far out as you can possibly think. And so that is really infinite. But there has to be, if you want to talk about like a holistic being, there has to be some sort of, symbol to understand that. And the circle is the perfect symbol. And we see the circle, it's everywhere, any culture deals with a circle. This is the sacred hoop by the natives. They're talking about the same thing, Of course, they didn't call it pi, but, the Greeks and maybe the Egyptians, who really knows where this thing came from? But so just symbolically looking at pi, that's kind of, what it meant to me. And really, there is a philosophy, like an inherent philosophy in one way behind pi, because it's that line that you can't create and that circle that we can't create, and then it's infinite and transcendental. It really says that that's the kind of world that we live in. It's transcendental, it's magical, it's infinite, and it's an entire sphere, of creation. And of course, that creation is intelligent, at least as far as I'm concerned,
Well, there's a great little video that you have out, and I posted it around for people. And the one thing that resonated the most with me was when you actually spoke of pi being transcendental. Yeah, it's exactly transcendental is exactly what pi is. And yeah, I'm going to keep reposting that video because when you went through and showed the menorah and all the different way things that worked and sets and what have you, and you did it in such a beautiful, people can, it works for people that are wide awake, and it works for people that are just kind of going, oh, that's neat, you know. And it was you did it in such a way that it was like you were going at it with a kindergarten approach from a professor standpoint, and it was a beautiful mix. So I'm going to keep posting it. It was about 15 minutes, one of the most concise 15 minutes that I've seen done on pi yet. So thank you for that. It's very helpful to have that kind of stuff.
Well, thanks. I mean, that's really what I'm trying to do is teach this stuff. And so there's points where I have to kind of like simplify some things, you know. And I mean, I'm kind of teaching it in a way that I understand it as well, too, you know. And so I really want this to be, this to be available to whoever wants to watch it, you know. I mean, to me, this is, you know, all I can say is my own personal relationship with this material. I can't speak on behalf of anybody else except myself. To me, this is sacred. It's absolutely sacred. It's divine, you know, and I think the people in the past, you know, that called it sacred geometry, that called it sacred number, that, you know, that dealt in symbols, I think many of them thought the same way. Now, and so to me, it's like, you know, I mean, the videos in one way, it's like they have to be free, you know? I mean, I can charge for my books because it's the way I'm presenting it, and I have to pay for, you know, publishing and editing and all that stuff. But, you know, it's kind of like, I can't, you know, you can't sell the sacred in one way. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying to make it available to everybody. And in a way that I can understand it where other people can understand it, you know. The other thing that I really kind of harp on too is that you don't have to be that intelligent to understand basic fundamental, you know, concepts or philosophies or the way the world works. You don't have to be an Einstein. You don't have to be a genius to understand these things. At their core, they're very simple. It's really that our modern curriculum, the school system, however we're taught, really confounds these things. And when you clear the slate and you strip all this away, a lot of this stuff is very simple. And so, you know, I mean, people have said to me, it's like, oh, you write books on pi, you must be a genius, and that's just not true at all. It's quite the contrary. You know, I just guess I have a knack for just showing it in this simple manner. But at the same time, when you cut all the bullshit away, it is simple.
Yeah, it's interesting how you were talking about alchemy earlier as well, because I mean, what we've found has actually happened is all the different things like numerology has gone one direction, geometry has gone in another, harmonics has gone in a further, and then we've split up into science, physics, quantum physics, and all these separate things. But the beauty of alchemy is that the truth of it is all one. And so it's all linked into each other, isn't it? And that's the bit that really fascinates me. I don't know if you want to talk on that one.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is where the circle comes in too. You know, I mean, we could say this is the sacred hoop of the natives. You know, there's a wholeness and a oneness to the universe, and you don't have to be that intelligent to see that. You know what I mean? We share the same air, we share the same land, we share the same space. We're all under the umbrella of God or the heavens or the stars or whatever we want to say. And so, you know, we take these things and we say this is botany and this is archaeology and this is chemistry and this is astrophysics or whatever. And we separate all this stuff, but nothing is separate. You know, there's nothing separate in this universe whatsoever. You know, there's only the only separation that we have is the singular consciousness in the oneness of all consciousness. And that's, I mean, to me, that was done intentionally by a creator so you could have this experience in one way. So, yeah, I mean, our modern world has separated everything. And the circle is whole. It's wholeness. It's unity. And so, to me, when you look at, you know, what's his name? Siri, I forget his name, the guy that did the Holy Science book. What is his name? Swami Siri Yukaswar. Sorry. The Holy Science. That there is a holy science. That there's a science of understanding the nature of our consciousness, our cosmos, this Mother Earth, you know, everything, and it's holy. It's one. and that when you actually get to understand this science, well, you'll see it everywhere. Why? Because everything is one. I don't know. I guess I don't know how else to say that.
Yeah, I describe it along the same lines, with everyone being connected as a thread to source. And what we've done is we've went out in all these different perspective directions of threads, and we are literally weaving the space-time fabric. And what's happened here is that our ability to interweave with each other has been basically manipulated and taken over, where we're actually weaving someone else's patterns instead of interweaving with our own. And that's what I feel the awakening to be. As soon as people can let go and not pull so taut, that's what the word taut means, right? To be tight. Once you can let go of that tautness, then you're loose enough to start interweaving with others that are of similar vein or of similar thread. And then we get to weave our own new fabric in the pre-sent moment instead of the now moment, which for me now is actually past, right? It's always trying to stay in the pre-sent, in that you are the puppet master, and the meat stick that we walk around in is the puppet, the Pinocchio. So what... and I got to tell you, it's been real esoteric lately, seeing the synchronicities and the, quote, coincidences, unquote, unfold before me in rapid fashion. As I call them, as I say to everyone, they're the white rabbits that you have to go chasing, because they're all pre-sent to you. You did, because we're all of the one consciousness, having different perspective experiences from the same cloth, and it's just a matter of how we start weaving that cloth together into that beautiful circle of oneness again.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess for like a metaphor right now, what science is doing, and I mean, basically what all of humanity is doing, is that we're all on separate branches, and we look at all the branches and we look over and we're like, oh, you're on a separate branch, that's on a separate branch over there, and none of us are looking down and noticing that all those branches unify at the trunk.
Yeah, you see the branches miss the tree,
Yeah, I mean, exactly. And I think that, this is why the tree of life is such a powerful symbol. It's the Yggdrasil or whatever in what am I trying to say here? In Norse mythology, I think you have this, it's called the Yggdrasil, which is this tree of life. You have the Kabbalistic tree of life. You see this time and time again, and it's a perfect metaphor for what we are. And so, yeah, I think this is maybe the time period now to start realizing that it is unified at the trunk. And that when you were talking earlier about a thread or a cord, this is religion. In Hinduism, guna means cord or strand or thread, and this is the same thing as religio. It just means, ligio means link. And so it's just the idea of linking yourself back. And so the tree, in one way, is a perfect metaphor for it, a living metaphor. Actually, a living archetype in the mind of God, if you will, of what we are. It's an illusion of separateness. You link back, you look down, and we're all one. It's pretty much as simple as that.
Yeah, I love the word you used there, ligo. Resonated immediately with me with ligaments, which are threads of the mind. And they literally are, because those are the things that you control. Those are the strings that you control this meat puppet with. And the tree, for me, has always been the epitome of showing the fractal universe, in that here we have something symbolic that reaches and gets nourishment from both the dark, the soil, and the light, the sun. And both are a mirror image of each other, in that the roots reach out like branches, and you have that one solid trunk, and then the branches reach out, and it's very symbolic of Zeus's lightning bolt, which is the opposing wise,
Yeah, and how simple of a symbol is the tree, you know what I mean?
I know.
You look at that, it really, all of that stuff, all of that fundamental philosophy about what it is to live on this planet is staring at you right in the face. And I also like to, this gets pretty esoteric when you say this or whatever, but when, a tree is asking you a question, every time it branches out, it's asking you why? Why? And then what is that why? Well, why are we here? What are we doing here? We're only given questions in this world. We're given no answers. And so it's like, well, obviously, if there is a creator, then it wanted us to question everything. You know, I mean, that obviously because that's all he gave us, or she, or it, or whatever. You know, and the tree is a perfect expression of that. You know, so I mean, it's really unfortunate that like because of how we were raised, or you know, the civilization that we live in now, the time period, whatever you want to call it, conspiracy. You know, we're not taught these things. Our parents don't teach us these things, and this was standard teaching in you know, native cultures, these mystic cultures. Why? Because it taught you to see this everywhere. You know, it taught you to see it on your human body, on a tree, in a bird, on a leaf. It doesn't matter, you know. And this is really important stuff. And the fact that you can just take this fundamental philosophy and just, okay, now we're just going to go right to mathematics. You know, what is nature doing? It's mirroring things. Okay, well, let's mirror things in mathematics too, because nature's made out of mathematics, right? I mean, that, to me, that just makes kind of just a no-nonsense approach to it, you know? And this no-nonsense approach, at least in my opinion anyway, science wants nothing to do with. I mean, I can't say that invariably, because how many conversations with the scientists have I actually had, but there is a hubris and an arrogance in science right now that just needs to be washed away, because it's kind of keeping us from understanding our reality, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, I mean, Rob Otte and
Matt Presti, right?
Matt Presti, yeah. I mean, we had them on I think last week, and again, same. We're all on the same page on this one, and really, you are dealing with a lot of hubris with scientific communities that are basically funded by their ability to be arrogant and not fully understand what the universe is. I mean, here we have, you know, countless billions of dollars spent on trying to find the God particle. Duh.
Yeah.
When you look in your own heart, you'll find it there. You know, save yourself a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, and you know, everyone a whole lot of money. I think could be better spent making, you know, free energy available and filling empty bellies of children. You know, just saying.
But yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I don't think too much on the Large Hadron Collider personally. You know, I mean, the fact that, you know, modern science pretty much says that geometry has nothing to do with the creation of our universe, that there isn't a geometric form. I mean, that's just, you know, we have independent people, just, you know, average Joes like myself, that can obviously see this. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if you know that Wooden Books. It's a little book of coincidences in the solar system. John Martin knew, and it's just a beautiful book about showing the fundamental geometry of creation. That you can see it from the the Earth to Venus, and you know, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like modern science is basically saying that geometry has nothing to do with it. Well, how can you possibly even say that at this point?
It's got everything to do with it. But
yeah, you know, I mean,
there's that hubris again.
Yeah, I mean, it really is. It's really sad, because I mean, it's taking, you know, just average everyday Joes, like I said, people on the internet that are looking into this stuff, being like, whoa, you guys are over intellectualizing this stuff. You guys are way overcomplicating this stuff. You know, we don't need a $10 billion particle accelerator to understand God.
I know. You got to tell me, are you a musician, by the way?
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. I get that resonance when I'm talking to other musicians, so I kind of figured that you speak in the same language. It's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tony, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just about to say, what science, as I was explaining before, what they've done is broken it all up into pieces and sent everybody off with their little piece in the wrong direction. You start studying something that's correct, and they won't fund you. Or they'll pull your funding, or they'll say, no, you can't study that, you have to study one on this list. Do you know what I'm saying? But if you go into some technological mission like the Collider, I mean, basically they're going in the wrong direction, and the science is flawed, and that's the point. All of the truth has been hidden, and that's why we're still deep in there trying to uncover what has been hidden, because that's where the truth is. And that's my take on that.
Yeah, you know, and in order to change this, I mean, we could, we could throw rocks at their wall all day long, but I'd rather just start a new conversation and then let people look at that conversation, you know, and see, oh, okay, well, that makes a lot more sense. Well, then we'll just, it'll be a dissolution of the old ways, and that's really what we're going through right now. It's, the old ways aren't working anymore. It's very apparent. Everyone's very conscious of it, and they're saying, no, we're not just sit and wallow in this. this scientific, spiritual ignorance anymore. We'll go out and do our own thing, and there's kids, there's lots of people, like myself or whatever, that looked at guys like, Walter Russell and the Marco Rodins and being like, wait a second, this stuff makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Why aren't we focused on this? I mean, come on,
That's exactly my point. I've looked at Marco Rodin's work. It's awesome, but that's the point. It's all part of the one, from cymatics to blooming Rodin physics, harmonics. And when you look at the ridiculousness of it as well, I mean, have you ever seen a VW car?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
You know where I'm going with this? The VW badge with the chevron at the back? They've known about this for so long, they've just hidden it.
Well, yeah, it's also in, it's I Am Pei. I actually highlight it in the next volume that's coming out, but the Rodin coil, the symbol is in that pyramid. It's basically the braces in the pyramid. And you can see it clear. So it's just like it's staring at us right in the face. So like, I Am Pei, by the way, he's the architect. It's I.M.P.E.I. Well, Pei, P-E, yeah, I am Pi, basically what it's saying. Pei is the Hebrew, Hebrew, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Hebrew pi. And then of course pi is the Greek pi. And so what is this architect saying? Is that a pseudonym? Is that his real name? I mean, I don't know, but he's basically saying, what's he saying? I am pi? Well, I am transcendence? Because that's
exactly where we're living these days, and it is that literal when you start to see the surreality of this place. And this is why people like you doing what you're doing are making it very easy for people to get these sudden epiphanies and then all of a sudden start realizing these synchronicities that are in complete existence before nature is walking around bitch slapping you every second of the day if you can see it. And as soon as you said I am Pei, I'm thinking, okay, well, there's Pompeii. Of course, they want Pei per, so creation 4, right? So Pei being pi, which is creation. And we haven't even got into the phi ratio, the golden means yet. So it's when you start, and this is why I love what you're doing. You do it so simply for people. You bring it home in such an easy to understand way. And we're talking some of the we're talking the basics of the universe creation here, and it's brought to the kitchen table in very, I love this, in very bite-sized pieces of pie.
Well, thank you. I'm glad people are getting it, because that's what I'm trying to do. I mean, ultimately, I feel like I'm just teaching 101 with this stuff. I may get deep for some people or whatever, but in one respect, a lot of the stuff that I'm teaching is basically just 101. It's 101 numerology. It's 101 astrology. It's 101, language in one way. This may be shocking to a lot of people, but the reason it might be shocking is because our school systems didn't teach us astronomy. Our school systems didn't teach us how to do mathematics. They didn't teach us about symbolism. They didn't teach us about geometry. And the way we learned, well, at least the way I learned the English language was just confounded and ugly and terrible. And so it's like, when I got out of school and I just started relearning all this stuff, and when I, cleared the slate and got rid of all the bullshit and all the nonsense, all this, the core was easy. And that's the most important point that I like to convey to people, that, like I've said this before, and I'll say it again. I'll say it on every interview I ever do. I'm not that smart of a guy. Trust me. This stuff is not that complicated. You've been taught that it's complicated, but it's not. You can have a geometric understanding of the creation of our universe. And when you see that, you'll understand that it's just a wholeness that bloomed into infinite, in infinite ways. And, it complexified itself in infinite ways. It remained whole, it remained unified. Okay, so where do we see that? Well, every time you plant a seed and it goes up and it creates a flower, boom, you just have a fractal of the universe. And you can understand
intention.
Yeah.
I call it singular intention to exponential creation.
Yeah.
And seed is the representation of that. Absolutely. See, keep her going. This is great. I'm loving this. I'm just loving this. This is great.
Yeah, I mean, I find it fascinating because, like you said, you're absolutely correct. This is what we should have been taught all along. So the fact that we've not been taught, there must have been a reason behind that, and that's where I like to go. I like to go take every layer off that exists, because if we understand that we should have been taught it and we haven't been taught it, well, why have we not been taught it, and what are they hiding? And that's where that's where I'm looking to go with this, to uncover the things there that need uncovering, so that we can bring them back out into the light and comprehend them and understand them.
Yeah, Tony's the kind of guy that comes to a paper bag rally with a can opener. Okay.
That's funny.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah. And kind of speaking on like conspiracy and things like that, like why weren't we taught this stuff and things like that? And to me, it's like we can point our fingers in a bunch of different directions. It's the Freemasons, it's the Zionists, it's the New World Order, no, it's the Council of Foreign Relations, no, it's the Illuminati. But I'd rather just say I don't know who the fuck it is. How about we just start learning this? And once the 100th monkey principle or whatever, once that goes out, it's going to be really hard to stop. And I'd rather focus on that than listen to Alex Jones every day or whatever. I
love it. Oh, and thank you. Yay, someone else speaks Katie potty mouth. I love it. Keep going.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, yeah. I'm a musician.
No, never apologize. I want to hear the heart, my friend. I want to hear your heart. I don't want to hear any spiels.
Well, yeah, it's so funny, too, because, when I first started getting into, when I became an author, basically, I was kind of thrust into this quote unquote scholarly intellectual circles, and I got this kind of initial feeling about, oh, well, if you want somebody to take you seriously, you can't. Well, why are you putting stipulations and regulations and rules over my own being? I can't curse. Well, fuck that. You have to be yourself, and the idea that this whole snooty professorial kind of thing is basically, once again, it goes back to the hubris. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, you're not intelligent enough to understand physics. Well, that's nonsense. No one's stupid. No one's moronic. No one's an imbecile. Why are people the way they are? Because they've been manipulated, because they've been, a barrage of lies, propaganda have been thrown at them. And when you are, if you spent 20 years and somebody telling you the way it is, and you're just supposed to drop everything tomorrow and for how it truly is, that's a hard thing. If you've been bombarded by the fact that if you don't follow this, if you don't take Jesus as your Savior, you're going to burn in hell. Jesus, you've spent how many years forming your neurons to understand that, and then people get frustrated. I've heard some people that I'm associated with in the last couple weeks or whatever, kind of just being like, people are psychopaths and people are morons, and I just couldn't disagree more. I don't think anyone's stupid. I think people have the potential. Potential is a great word. People have the potential of the entire universe within them, and they need to know that. Potential is potent, all. Yep. I am potent with the all, the Kabayan. The all is mind. Allah, all. All that ever was, shall be, and is. We are potent with that. And so, this, I don't know why I'm harping on this conspiracy right now, but this it used to be us versus them. And from what I've seen lately, it's a lot of us versus us. And that's ridiculous.
That's by design, though. That's to keep us waging war against our own consciousness. But we are awakening to it, and it's people like Anger Jones that we just take the toilet and flush it, and it's bye.
And honestly, there's a lot that Alex Jones says that I like. You have to take everybody. You take the good with the bad, and there you have the facts of life. Yes, I just quoted an '80s sitcom, but you know what I mean. Like, even if you're listening to me and you're like, wow, that guy is making a lot of sense, you should still question everything I'm saying. And be like, hey, he could be right, wrong, and this and this and this and this. Maybe 50% of what he's saying is gold. Well, take that 50% and move on with your own life. I think that's important. I know a lot of people they follow every word of a guy like David Icke or whatever, and I think David Icke has a lot of really great things to say, but at the same time, if you just allow yourself to just be swept up in whatever life that they're living, you're going to miss out on your own revelations, the own discoveries that you're going to make in your own life, and that's what you're here to do.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that completely. The only thing I would change on that is you have to take some of what everything shows you in life, all the different people that you research and all the information that you're given, and then from my personal experience, you cross-correlate everything. So there are points where the information crosses over, which that means to me, right, that bit's solid, because I can cross-reference these different points many times over with different researchers finding the same or similar kinds of things. And that's where you begin to build a humongous understanding and comprehension for the whole rather than just one little bit of it. Do you see what I'm saying? So it all comes down to the word discernment.
Yeah, that's. I think you said it much better than I did. But yes, I agree with that.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. I've looked into everything. Well, I've looked into loads of things, and maybe some that you can't possibly imagine. It's just a case of taking a taste of all the meals, and then you can decide which one's your favourite. And Chinese is over there, and Indians over there, and Italians over there. So you know where it all fits.
That is exactly it, and here we have been put in this fear paradigm of, the Masonic this and the Illuminati that and all the rest of it. And once you actually start seeing the Matrix for what it really is, all that's being said there is, look here, can you see it? The only fear that exists is that which you are creating within yourself. And it was such a beautiful, we had an interview yesterday with Richard Cumberland, and he went across this energy thing with regards to where, the fear is across the kidneys. There's your balance, your Libra. And isn't it amazing that when we get locked into that fear, we literally shut down. And what people need to do is stop looking at something as if it's good or evil. Look at it as it really is, good and evil. How are you seeing it? There's only two things you can do there. It's what is your intention of where you're going to be looking at it, and what is your perspective. And only when you can actually shift that perspective 180 degrees can you get a full look at that. There it is again. There's the pie, the full circle of creation, right? So most of us are dealing with only half-cut pies instead of looking at the whole circumference of that and the outside diameter of the orb of creation.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. The world is. This is the biggest argument against God in one way, or a divinity or divine source. Is that, well, look at all the evil in the world. But once you understand that the world had to be created with these polar opposites, this North Pole, South Pole, positive, negative, in order for creation to have been created, then you do balance them. You take the good, you take the bad, you take the left, you take the right, and you realize, and you balance them. You say they're one. You take the spirit, you take them, and that's what we need to do. You see so many spiritual people that just want to talk about the light, but you got to remember there's darkness too, and you have to balance those. You got to remember that you wake up during the day and you go to sleep at night. That's just a fact. This duality is what we live in, and it's so crazy to me that it took me, 28, 29 years to even come across this theory. Yeah. It's like, this is plain as day. Anybody can see this. Anybody can understand it. You could teach this to a third grader, and they would. I think they would immediately get it.
They would eat it up.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Truth resonates, and that was myself and many others. Our direct approach in this awakening of our own was, well, for me it was, I got to find the darkest places in order to shine the brightest. So that's why my initial game was going after Vatican and dismantling legal the straw man crap and all the rest of it. That's all illusion anyway. But until people are willing to look at anything, instead of looking at that gray neutral blah zone, dare to look at something really dark and dare to look at something really bright. And don't judge it, just observe it. It's like watching fireworks. You're not going to sit there with a pen and paper and judge the fireworks show. No, you're just going to sit there and enjoy it and then talk about it later. just doesn't make sense. For most people, they get over analytical. Of course, there's that whole entrainment in school of being taught how to think, what to think instead of being shown how to think for yourself. But hey, that's the way things are, and they're changing.
Yeah, indoctrination.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is indoctrination, and we have the opportunity to change that now, and that's what I'd rather focus on. Because I mean, once you change a curriculum and you see that children are learning much quicker and are becoming more intelligent, then the old system just has to fall. That's just the way it is. They're not going to, and if people want to cling on to that, they're just going to have less intelligent children. Who the hell wants that? Nobody. So that's what I want to focus on. And that's why I'm trying to teach this.
Yeah, and doing an awesome job as well, Martin.
Well, thank you very much.
I'm hoping that you're going to be doing some courses and stuff on this shortly, a bit like Marco Aurelian style, and a few lectures and course materials and stuff. Just a matter of I'm trying to get the next book out, and then I'm speaking at the Free Your Mind conference in April. This is 24th, 25th, 26th, something like that. And then I'm just going to keep on doing the OnGo web series, and then I'm also doing webinars to the school, two thus far. And I'm going to try to do that a little bit more. I'm basically just any way I can to try to get this information out, so. And I think we need it right now. I think we need a new perspective. I think people want a new perspective. Not only do we need it, we want it. I think that's the only reason that maybe I've been successful at all is because people are yearning for something that makes sense of our world. And to me, when I looked at mathematics in this way, it made sense of a lot of the old mythologies and a lot of, and it also said that our ancient ancestors were very, very mystical, very spiritual, very connected, very intelligent people. They were very intelligent, and they understood the world in a very intuitive, way, and really understood what this world is about. And they tried to leave us things, the Mahabharata and the Bhagavad Gita and the Holy Bible and things like this to help us when we would probably need it, as it is right now. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all been saved up for this particular time, so that when we got to this conscious level to be able to process the information, in my view, then all of a sudden it'll start coming out. And that's just been the story throughout history, isn't it? You get to a certain consciousness level, and then people start looking up and going, why? And then it all comes full circle. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Time for us all to wake up, and the time is now.
Yeah. I really think it is. I hope the next year or years, whatever it is, whatever our time frame is, brings on something new. When you look in history, there was periods where all of a sudden it was just kind of stagnant. It was like a Jane Austen novel or something, and then bam, there was a renaissance. And really all it took was, a few people to be, wake up and put something out there that would help people. And so, I hope that's the time that we're going into right now. There's so many great researchers out there right now. There's so many great ones. All the stuff that Graham Hancock has done, John Anthony West, those guys. What Santos is bringing up, what Laird Scranton has done, what Scott Onstott's doing. There's just a bunch of guys out there right now, and women, that are, bringing this knowledge out to the forefront and saying, look at this. How can you deny this?
Yeah.
And people are waking up to it. And it's making sense of our history, and that's the most important thing, because we look at our history and, because we're taught history the way we are, we're like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
And none of this makes sense according to our modern layout of history.
Exactly. Well, that's the point. A lot of the world, when I started looking around me, did not make any sense at all. But it took me a long time to begin to look. But I just started looking at stuff like free energy and that. And a whole world opened up in front of me, and it's just like, oh my God, it's like going into the Lawnmower Man film, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, and I really got hooked on Marco Rodin's work. I was working with numbers for a while, and then all of a sudden just synchronicity ended up bringing me to Marco's work. And so many people that I know that got into his work were all about making the torus and making this free energy. Almost invariably, everyone that I had, come across was like, oh, we're going to use this. We're going to make free energy. But I was like, wait a second. This is numerology, and it's making sense of just, I mean, it's making sense of regular mathematics where people can see it and they can understand it instantly. I mean, I did. I mean, I was like, I had known about this numerological, this property, this digital root, whatever you want to call it, for a long time. But Marco Rodin was like, here's a way you can really, really use this, And so I took it in a completely different direction of free energy. And so maybe something that Marco Rodin had no intention of ended up inspiring me to write. So all of these little seeds that are getting placed out there are going to wake somebody up, and something new is going to come out in a way that you had no idea, And that
it's happening every day. It's happening every day. I see it every day.
Yeah, and that's going to exponentiate. So,
already is.
Yeah.
And I'm going back to when we first started. I mean, I've been doing radio, 5 years now. Going back to when we started in Freedom Reigns, and just watching the people awaken, and I guess what we've been doing, it has been catching on and resonating, and our numbers have exponentiated, and that is just a tribute to the awakening of the people out there recognizing the power within themselves. And it's like you were saying about Mark Rodin's work. It's as simple as learning to play with numbers, to play a game, or learning to understand the real math, the esoterics, and learning how to play God. And making those vaster discoveries. But it's like this. I can take a kindergarten book that you'd get in kindergarten, and I can read the story of the universe in it. It is everywhere, and it's in the words. It's in everything around you. This creation is so beautiful once you start having eyes to see the matrix as it unfolds before you. It is magical beyond magical. And I'm going to start a course up called How to Chase a White Rabbit. I'll give you an example. I mentioned about Cygnus, the swan, earlier. I've had this tag for a long time, Cygnus trumpets and what have you. But isn't it interesting? I just got my birth certificate short form. It's another show. You should listen to some of the other ones. But anyway, it just came into mail today, and I had to let my friend Terry in Bolton know. Just coincidence. She lives in Bolton, and it came to me. It was from the Swan Business Center, 4 Swan Lane, in Bolton. It's this kind of stuff, and these are the rabbit trails I follow all day. It's I got to tell you, what I've seen today is we have entered the age of Aquarius, and that there are most amazing things coming. Everything that was pointing at me today was like basically exponential win. So we're already there. We're past critical mass. This thing is going to snowball to a point where there's just going to be this. You're going to hear it. Everyone's going to hear this snap, and it's like, oh, now I know what to do. And it's beautiful. And I'm just happy to be even a small, tiny part of that, and being involved with people like yourself. And do a lot of work, of course, with Tony and Santo and many others that are all on the same page, that are finally being understood. It's not, it's one thing, Marty, that you've been out, you can go out and show people, and if you're met with a whole bunch of blank stares, there's not a whole lot of motivation behind it. So you keep going anyway. But isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful when you get feedback where people are actually getting what you're doing and loving it? Isn't that different?
Yeah, I mean that's been really nice. I definitely I've basically seen both spectrums. I've been called a pathetic asshole, and I think there's a guy that put a Pinterest page up on where it said mathematical humor. He's basically got all my videos on there as if I'm some big joke. And then I've had other people say this is wonderful. It's revelation and all this other stuff. And I just kind of, once again, I look at that spirit and matter and that black and white, and I just try to find that middle ground. It's so gratifying to do the work in and of itself. Like every time I make a new discovery, just like the other day I did this video, and it was just, I'm not going to go into it here, but it was just so gratifying for me. It was like just sitting in your bedroom and writing that really good song. It's the process of writing that song is what the gratification is. There's more gratification about when people go enjoy it, and maybe you sell some records or something like that. But first and foremost, it's that the gratification of you going into that whatever is spiritual world or whatever, and grabbing that ounce of creativity and pulling it down and bringing it into the world. That is the most gratifying thing for me, anyway. So
it's like sitting back after writing a song, going, "I don't believe I wrote that."
Yeah, that happened.
I call those omgom moments, oh my god moments, or omgoms.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've heard comedians talk about this. I've heard artists talk about this. Musicians talk about. I mean, it's in jazz music, it's called real gone. It's like where you're just in the moment so much that you're real gone. You don't know where it's coming from, where it's going, what notes you're playing, and this is basically just being in the moment. And that's, I think, wherever there is only one moment. There is no past. There is no future. The destructive and the creative forces are they're falling onto this eternal present. And that's the moment, and that's what we all want to live in. So
that preset now, you just get in that, and you're gone. And I know I've had many of those experiences on stage where, in the middle of a song with with a band, and you get so gone with it, and then the worst thing that can happen is you actually snap out of it and you go, "Oh shit, where am I in the song?" And then you wait. Okay, there's the cue on the lead. So okay, I know where I am now.
Yeah.
Or a lot of times, I'll look up and the guys in the band, they know it happens to me, regularly. They just look at me, and Sam, my guitar player years back, just look at me and just look at the rest of the guys and the finger up in the air. Okay, another go around. The freak fell asleep singing again.
Yeah. And being, I mean, I know we're kind of going a bunch of different places in this conversation, but that's cool, right? Being a musician, I mean, one thing that I recognized, maybe early 20s, mid 20s, was ego. Because it's very easy to get on stage and be like, look at me, and when I was first writing songs and got together with a bunch of friends and started writing songs, it was for the pure intent. And at some point, my ego took over. And the most crazy thing happened. I stopped writing good songs. And then it took me years to, realize what it was that that there was a living presence that I had to control every day. I had to wake up and be like, okay, you're not going to control me. I'm going to just let it go, And then as soon as I started doing that more and more, and started working on that, and it really, I equate this to the alchemical process in one way. As soon as I started doing that, the songs started coming back, and I started inspiring myself more instead of feeding that ego.
I was lucky for music. I did it not because it was something I really wanted to do. At the very beginning, it was just something I could do, and still to this day it terrifies me to do it. But I got to tell you, I always equated to going on stage like climbing the gallows. I mean that quite literally. It was that gut turning and nerve wracking for me. But as soon as I set foot on the stage, it was like, okay, I'm here. If I'm going to get hung, I'm going to have some fun doing it. And then I get lost in the moment. But I understand what you're saying about the ego thing. And I used to host for many years a singer-songwriter, all original stuff. And there was it's kind of funny. The ones with the egos, always the ones with the egos. And I use the term loosely. Let's just say they weren't as good performers as those beautiful beings that walked in, terrified to leave their kitchen table and come out with these most masterful, wonderful literary sonnets of song. And you just sit there in awe. And those were the moments I loved, because you saw that pure creation. And that's what you're speaking of, Marty. You're talking about the pi ratio in the one there, where the being gets right in touch with the core essence of who they are. And when you get to see that, it wasn't that rare, but it didn't happen as often as I liked it to. But once you get in those moments, there's nothing that can replace it. Nothing.
Yeah, and I think that's, I hate using the word artist or anything, just because it's like I hate putting a label on that sort of shit or whatever. But, that's where you want to get. At least for me, and that's where I want to get, and that's in the moment of writing the song, performing, whatever it is, that's the place I want to get, and that's the place I want to be. And then, hopefully I can do that as much as possible. Some nights are not good. Sometimes you don't get there, and that's just the way it is. And then you got to know, it's my name isn't even Marty Leeds. It's a pseudonym. I just did a video on this. And to me, creating a pseudonym, I did this subconsciously. I don't know, when I was like 20 or 22 or something like that. Fairly young still. And I did this subconsciously, and it wasn't until later I realized why I needed to create an alter ego. It was because I needed to alter my ego. I needed to, I equated to like going up into the theater of yourself and going up in the balcony and looking on the stage and saying, how am I doing? Am I phoning in my lines? Am I screwing up my performance? Am I phoning in my performance or whatever? Am I missing my cues? And then, but it also allows you to say, hey man, I nailed it that night. And without any ego whatsoever, And then the trick is, there's 2 shows tomorrow and 3 on Sunday. You got to get up and you got to do it all over again. And then Sunday you got to get up and do it all over again.
Isn't it great? And you just nailed it there as well. I kind of, for most people actually know me as Kate. My musical background, that's what I did. General contractor as well, but signed in Nashville, everything, and. But it was. I mean, even then, I treated the name as something separate from me. So for me, it was just like you were saying there, is you stepped outside of your own box so that you could be the observer of self, equally loving and equally critical, without ego, and without judgment. It was an observation of self. And boy, that's the thing about stage. It makes you real honest about yourself real quick. Because you're bearing yourself out there. And I don't care if you're you're a singer-songwriter, right? So there's nothing hidden there, and this is one of the reasons why setting up songwriting was a very important thing to me, because I got a chance to meet the real beings, and that's exactly who and what you are, because you've put forth everything in that most wonderful flowing of words and sounds, right? And you've expressed yourself. And by the way, I like to always address this part of it. That is the purest essence of feminine creation in terms of the male giving birth.
Yeah, I mean, in the first book, I actually gave myself another pseudonym called Claudia Pavonis, and it was a female, and this was, anytime I put a poetic line into the book, I put it under the pseudonym of Claudia Pavonis, because it was like, I realized that's a feminine energy. That's what you're dealing with there. I mean, it's the left and right side of your brain, right? Your left side is, I like to say it this way, your left side is mathematical, your right side is numerological. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's, I mean, it's the logical side and then the real creative side. And that's that feminine side. And this is alchemy. This is alchemy straight up. Sure. Basically when you talk about the sun and the moon, the Adam and Eve, the left and right, I mean, it's basically realizing that the soul or the spirit of you is divided. And what you're supposed to do is realize that it's divided and then merge that into one. And then we actually, I mean, I think that the human being is androgynous for like 7 weeks in the mother's womb. You're not male or female until that, I think it's that 49th day or something like that, So that androgynous being is what we want to get back to. We establish ourselves, or we grow up and we're like, oh, I'm a man, and so I have to do manly shit, or I'm a female, that sort of thing. And really, we're both. And that's the recognition, I think. And then that's that mirroring. That's that mirroring that we see in nature, too. It's saying that there's an Adam and Eve, that you have a left and a right side. Recognize that, merge them into one, and then you will be the complete being. That's how I understood it anyway.
Well, I just made a point in my life of knowing exactly who and what it is I am in the creative aspect, and I manifest that as who I am. That's exactly the resonance, and it really is an androgynous aspect. And all I'm doing is making everyone very aware of my own awareness of who and what it is I am. That's all. I'm just a wake-up call for humanity. That's it.
Yeah, and this is the point that I like to make too, is that this stuff can be taught. This is not some secret society, thing that's got to be kept underground. I don't think so. I think this can be taught. And I had just read a book, it was a couple of weeks ago now, and her name was Jamie Sands. It's like on Kaka'alampi's thing. It's Sacred Path Cards. Just this book that my fiance gave me for she got it for like $1 or something. Ended up picking it up and just loved it. Had no idea who this was. And basically just a book of philosophy on Native American wisdom of the Seneca tribe. And they got to the point where she says in the book that they had to teach their children that they had a man and woman in them. And this was something that they taught their children. How many parents out there actually said something like that to their children? I can almost guarantee not a one. This was standard teaching for these people. I mean, of course.
It was standard for me, but that's just a little different. And but you're absolutely right. Yeah, and you're the first person that's ever said that. That wasn't in my sphere of reality. It was there as an unconscious thing, but isn't that probably the most important thing? Because you know what you just did with that statement is you removed all bias around the world. You see, because when you teach each individual, be it in the boy form or the girl form or hermaphrodite, whatever the case may be, but when you actually teach each side that you are of the both, what a blessed lesson! Wow.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you brought that up. Wow.
Yeah, I think so. And this is actually, this is. Okay, now we're going to go into homosexuality here. All right. Leviticus 18:22, right? It says, "Thou shalt not lay down with mankind as it does with womankind," right? Well, this is basic, and then churches, these fundamentalist churches, have taken this one line out of the Bible and chosen to chastise an entire segment of the population because of this one line. God hates fags, right? Well, if you actually understood what that line means, it's saying that you're divided. Your spirit is divided within you. Thou shalt not lay down with mankind as with womankind. It means, if you're a man, you don't want to look at that other side as a man. Because if you look at that other side, what are you going to be? You're going to be that testosterone-ridden, manly man kind of person, right? I mean, it's what we call in southern Wisconsin an asshole. If you understand,
that's what we call in Ireland too. Yeah.
If you understand that it's mankind and womankind within you, and that you're supposed to merge them, then that verse actually makes a whole lot of sense, and it has nothing to do with the flesh. I think even here. Hold on, I've got this here.
Yeah. Sorry. Again, it's love. Go ahead, look it up. It's love for the sake of love.
Well, yeah, and it says, this is John 6:63 as well. It says, it is the spirit that quickeneth. The flesh proveth nothing. The flesh proveth nothing. And so these people that are looking at people that are loving each other in the flesh and in their heart, and then choosing to chastise them, it's like, wow, it just shows how much you know nothing about the Holy Bible. You know nothing. I mean, the fact that you're even judging someone when Matthew 7:1 says, "Judge not, lest you be judged." I mean, I don't want to speak too much on the Bible here or anything, but this just shows.
It's a great book when you can read it. Absolutely, it is the most heinous book on the planet if you read it literally, and it's the most beautiful book on the planet if you know how to understand it mystically. It is full of truth or lies. What's your perspective? And what's happened to our society is that it was taught from the literal sense, and that's why there is the division, why there is the judgment, why there is the hating, and the persecution of everyone around. It doesn't matter. I guarantee you, in that book, everyone's got if you take it literally, everyone's got a reason to be hated, and that's not what the book was about. It was like being able to tell the same. Well, here it is in a nutshell. Mystical allegory metaphor is being able to walk around on the planet with your middle finger up, and everyone understands what you're saying without saying a word. I go into China and flip the bird. They know what the hell I'm talking about. I don't speak Mandarin or Cantonese.
Yeah, and it's just so we need people to go into these things and really show the rationale in it and the true spirituality in it. And the reason. And I mean, Bill Donahue has just joined the School of the Holy Science, and I think he's just doing a wonderful job. I'm not sure if you know him, but he's really speaking.
I've been trying to get him on the show for a while. He keeps emailing back, apologizing. But no, I've been preaching the Bill Donahue perspective. Him and Santo, between the two of them and their breakdowns of the Bible have been beautiful epiphanies for myself and many other people. And I'm a writer, so I take things to a different level on the symbology and what have you. But yeah, absolutely, Bill rocks.
Yeah. I mean, just what a wonderful, passionate man, you know, and just totally making sense, and just pulling the rug from under these people. Of course, if you're not willing to look at it, you know, if you're not willing to consider what he has to say, then you're just not going to. It doesn't matter what he actually says, you know. So, and that's the shame. But what he's doing is just wonderful, you know.
I just wait for somebody to jump in.
Somebody else breaking the mold is old Bill, isn't
he? Yeah. I mean, I was just turned on to him, honestly. I don't know how many months ago, whatever. And I ended up watching, you know, the 3 or 4 of his videos every week. You know, it's just fantastic. You know, I mean, it's the first time I mean, I even put it in, you know, one of the comments below. It's the first time I've ever heard honest preaching, ever. You know, I've never heard an honest preacher before. And because, you know, every preacher you know of is an evangelist, is trying to sell you something, trying to get you aboard their ship. And Bill Donahue's saying, you know, you're your own ship, man. You know, and I just sent him my books, and he just emailed me, I think about last week or something like that, saying he loved them. So I was really happy about that, you know.
Cool. Beautiful.
Yeah, so it's just so wonderful to actually consider a guy like that, you know, a colleague. You know, that to me, it just warms my heart, you know.
Yeah, I was overlooking at your site for the last couple of days, actually, various bits and pieces on it. The joint site with Santo, you, Bill, and, like I say, various others. But, yeah, it looks to be a very promising learning school, basically. I think it's a pretty exciting project for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just, you know, it's cool. It's just kind of a portal to reach all of these people, you know, I mean, and that really I think that are really putting out good work, you know. Obviously, I don't know if you know Johan Oldenkamp, but he's doing a lot of great stuff. And I knew of him long before I'd even joined the school. And then I found out afterwards that he was part of the school. So it was like one of those synchronistic things, like, oh, okay, I'm obviously on the right path here. So, but yeah, I'm excited about it. And I hope it does well, you know.
Yeah, well, with a bit of luck, we might be able to get together on a few things on that because, we work very closely with Santos. But, I mean, Santos's material was one of the things that woke me up when I found out about the astrotheological aspects and various other things. It just gave me a whole different perspective on this whole situation. And it was awesome, and I've followed his work ever since. But, yeah, it's all good stuff, like we were saying earlier, with lots of different pieces in the puzzle. Then when you start fitting them together, you get a beautiful picture, and it's that beautiful picture that everybody wants, but you have to have it piece by piece. That's the point.
And I think it's important to teach this stuff too, because, you know, all the buildup that we could do about, you know, like you were talking about the snowball effect, you know, and that this thing is going to keep going. Well, you know, that can be crushed in one generation. You know what I mean? Like we need to make sure that this stuff gets taught to as many people as we can, so it keeps getting passed on. You know, because there are people in power that don't want you to know this stuff. Otherwise, they would teach it in their school system. You know, so I mean, I hope that this keeps going on. And I mean, this is why I'm trying to teach this stuff, so anybody can get it and you can take it. You know, I mean, I make a point that this is not my cipher. You know, I know we haven't even talked about the cipher for the English alphabet yet, but it's not mine. I don't own it. You know, this is not my intellectual property. I can't own it. That would be like claiming that I own numbers or geometry or something. That's absolutely ridiculous, you know. And so I want to like, hey, this is everyone's. This is humanity's. So take it and run with it, you know.
And enjoy.
Enjoy, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned the cipher there. Do you want to give us a little bit on that?
Oh, yeah, sure. We can just
explain what it is and how it works and some background on it.
Yeah, basically what it is it's a numerical breakdown of the English alphabet using basically religious symbols to kind of crack this, the code, if you will. And basically what I did is just split the alphabet A through M and N through Z in half. Once again, finding that spirit matter, that duality that we see all throughout nature. And then I basically just walked up to 6 days of creation and rested on the seventh. So like A, B, C, D, E, F, G is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then H, I, J, K, L, M is 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So it's using the septenary system. And so yeah, we walk up to 7, and that's our G. And then that's where we rest. And this is the 6 days of creation and resting on the seventh. And then I got this from the Freemason symbol because there's that compass, the square, and the G in the center there. And this refers to this ancient art of squaring the circle that Hermeticists have done. They've used this. Freemasons and the Egyptians, et cetera, have used this. And so this is a really very simple way of putting numbers to the letters of our alphabet. And then of course since we've created symmetry, or two halves or whatever, if you will, of our alphabet, A through M and N through Z, 13 letters each, you can just take all these numbers, the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and just throw them onto the other side of the alphabet. And so it's just this really a very, very simple breakdown of the English alphabet. And there's just a slew of things you can do with this. And it really shows that whoever created this alphabet, however it evolved or whatever, was founded on these ancient mystical symbols and ideas and esoteric. It's steeped in esoterica, and that's what our English alphabet is. And it's
all the symbols, right? They come off the flower of life, right? So, of course, it has to be esoteric to the degree that every symbol, Paleo-Hebrew, Greek, Western alphabet, all the symbols are formed from the literal flower of life, the Vesica Piscis. And when it's going into its exponential creation, you can form all the numbers there. You can form everything there. All the symbols that you see in the Illuminati, it's all there. So, of course, when you speak of numerology, you are speaking of creation itself.
Yeah, I mean, everything to me is a reflection of creation. Basically, but basically that the story of creation is reflected in everything, in you, in a flower, and in everything. And this is, of course, this goes right to the alphabet and the very numbers we work with. And that's why I actually just kind of spend some time walking up the number line and just being like, okay, we're going to start at 0, and we're going to climb a ladder. We're going to go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., and we're just going to walk up. And we're going to see all the mathematical ideas we can get there. We can find phi, we can find pi, we can understand, the 153 of 17, etc., 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 literally as if the story of creation is just started at 0 or the nothingness and just walked up, And so, yeah, we see this in everything, in my opinion now. I mean, I see it everywhere.
Yeah, looking at, speaking of coding, one of the things, with me, it's all about resonance, sight, and sound. And when you take something like, say, the 23rd Psi-Am, or Psi-Alm, or the Psalms, 23 being the 23rd letter in the Greek alphabet is Psi. And Phi is, of course, creation itself, the golden mean, which is the 21st letter, which is the 777 of Yahweh. And it goes deeper and deeper and deeper, and it's actually beautiful once you see it unfold. I mean, I've been one of the lucky ones. I've seen it actually, the whole matrix just pour down in front of me, and it's like, okay, major download. And I remember one day, it was 3 days left during the summer in August, and I just couldn't shut down. It was relentless, and it was beautiful, And I love the way you've worked through the alphabet and the numbers. It makes it very easy for people to understand. And the most important thing, even a child gets it, because you have to get into the child to find it.
Yeah, I mean, basically is telling us a lesson with our maturation in one way. When we reach 15 years old, 14 years old, basically we become an adult physically. And when in native tribes, that's when the boy would become, that's when they would go on their vision quest, or they would have to have some ritual to be, actually accepted as a man. And that was when, basically you were supposed to do your basic learning. You were supposed to have all that done at that age. And we look at the age of like 15, 16 now as still children. And it's really interesting that when you're young, you want to just be older. And when you're old, you want to be younger. And so, like, the children that we're teaching all this stuff to, or not teaching this stuff to, are yearning for this. They want to know it, and they want to grow up. And yet we say, no, not till you're 18. No, not till you're 21. No, you got to graduate college first, and then you're going to be 24, and then you become adult. Where a lot of these old tribes, it was like 14, 15. And I mean, you even see this in Judaism, where it was like what's it called? It's escaping my mind now.
Bar mitzvah.
Bar mitzvah and bat mitzvah. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's when they became an adult. Isn't that interesting?
Again,
and that's what Mother Nature's telling us. Mother Nature's saying you're mature now.
Thomas Jefferson was an international diplomat at 14, spoke numerous languages. These are the days when we were actually being taught the correct things, and not so much being taught what to think, but being taught how to think and taking the initiative yourself. And that's what's been taken away from the masses through the schooling systems, through the religious, I call it religiocosis, chosenitis systems, and they've literally robbed people of their ability to be the creator. And what's more powerful than an all-powerful God? Well, an all-powerful God that controls other all-powerful gods based on their own ignorance. And that's for me, the only crime in this universe is ignorance.
Yeah. I agree with that. There really is only the ignorance, and like I said before, it's ignorance. It's not stupidity. No one's stupid. People just are ignorant, and that's okay. The good thing about ignorance is you can learn,
Bingo. Exactly.
And so that's the position that we're in, and that's a good thing.
Well, again, just to put it even further for people, ignorance is where someone is harming another and not realizing that it's not a good thing. They're ignorant of the fact that it's not something they'd want done to themselves, and when they do get it done to themselves, then they have the mirror lesson. And everything here is in the mirror. Everything here is backwards, and that's how I've approached everything from the 180-degree perspective of seeing things in reverse, because really what we are dealing with in this physical universe is the shadow. Like Peter Pan, right? Peter Pan and his shadow. What's happened is we've had our shadows ripped away from us, and here we are all needing our Wendy's to sew our shadows back on. And we have to be our own Wendy. We have to be our own Dorothy or Dorotheus, Door of God, in order to do that. And that's the one thing that's been missing. I was kind of hoping if you could, maybe... I'm not sure how well it would work on radio, but you did a beautiful breakdown of like the numbers 1 through 9, and it's from that video. I'm going to pass it around again numerous times, and I'm trying to think what it is I'm really trying to ask you. The correlation, like you got the 14 joints on your hand, which makes up 5. There's only 9 numbers, right, plus a 0. Which makes up 14, which 1 plus 4 is 5, which is your 5 fingers. And there's your phi ratio, right? Because I think it was in that video you went into also the phi ratio of if you measure from the floor to your belly button, that's 1, and from your belly button to the top of your head is 0.618.
Yeah, I mean, the whole world, I mean, the whole universe
Everything.
is created phi, the whole thing. I mean, and then you were just actually talking about psi, which is the 23rd letter of the Greek alphabet. Is that correct? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
And basically what is psi? It's an eye, and instead of the circle in the background, it's got 2 wings. So psi and phi, is that? I think that's correct, right? Yeah, it is. So this psi is basically, this is where we get science, and so psi means mental. Doesn't it mean mental essence? I'm pretty sure it does. So when you look at science. If you look at phonetically, it's really saying science is supposed to be this mental practice, that understanding that the world is a mental creation. All is mind, the Kabbalion said, and so the Greeks were saying the same thing. And so now, if you understand that you're created with phi, and phi, the symbol is an eye, and it's got a circle in the background, and then you look at psi, that's an eye. Oh, you really eye is you, then you just took the place of that eye, and then you have a sphere with wings, or the winged disc, and this is what you see in Egypt, and this is just kind of playing with symbol. And then of course, what does that sphere mean? Well, in one way, it means that sacred hoop of creation. It means pi.
Yeah, your sphere of destiny. And look at the word again. It's about sight and sound with me. In order to find yourself, you have to be able to turn your psi key to unlock the inner self, right?
Yeah.
So understand your own psi key, then you turn it and you find again, this is the journey of self. We're not trying to find anything outside of ourselves. This is the treasure hunt to find self, the Emerald City within, that beautiful, raging inferno sun within you that has been located in the physical sense. And there it is, phi, psi, cul. There's your phi ratio with your spirit and cul, right? So everything that is in the phi, psi, cul is designed to basically cull and take away from. It's a harvesting. So what we have to learn to do is to, a cull can be a thinning of the herd, or it can be a reaping of the harvest. So
sure.
You have to decide whether you're going to be part of the herd that's being thinned, or whether you are going to reap the benefits of your own harvest. And most people have been entrained, indoctrinated, and literally mind-swoggled into being thinned. And what we're moving finally away from.
Yeah. I think that's, I hope that's what we're doing right now. It feels like it.
Oh, it's what we're doing.
People are yearning for it. It's it's these podcasts that are going out. It's people starting to talk. It's people doing their own investigations. It's a lot of these old books that are coming out that we can get on Amazon right now. That 20 years ago you couldn't go to the library and get George Carey or whatever. Or they might have one Manly P. Hall book or something. And a lot of this old material is now coming out, and people are rereading this stuff. They're looking at their lives again. They're trying to make sense of this world, and it's it's branching out, and that's I'm all for it.
It is beautiful, and it's exponential. I gotta think, 2, 3, 4 years ago, during the early, I'm what's considered a latecomer, but I gotta tell you, 2 years ago, a lot of us were looking around going, this planet isn't going to awaken here. Are we going to keep doing this? And I couldn't imagine 2 years ago what is actually happening right now. That it is to such a great degree, because mainstream, of course, will never report the truth. They won't report the 200,000, 300,000, 400,000 people marching through Mexico City, through Slovakia, or Russia, or whatever. You'll see, but you'll see the information on the alternate media, which is this is our media. This is us talking to each other without the interference of a third-party interloper rewriting the script for us. Talk about scripts. There's the Sandy Hook event, which was completely staged. There wasn't a child was lost of that. That was all show, all of it. It's all been exposed, and it was exposed within hours. It's amazing when you start to understand the level of control that certain aspects and groups on this planet have of the media and what they can set up. Look what they did with 9/11. They actually convinced a world early on that somehow it was some guy in a cave that orchestrated this mastermind event that evaded the highest skilled fighter pilots of NORAD. Literally within 5 minutes of one of the main NORAD bases, and not one fighter got into the air. Are you kidding me? No, this is such an orchestrated script that is going on right now, and it really is. This is all the world at the stage. It's just a stage. It's just a show. Let's rewrite the script, and we'll make it a bit happier.
Well, and there, there's a spiritual quality too to even not that you want to fight these people or anything like that, but when you look at okay, let's just take the wild hip hop, just the wild. How do I want to say this? Let's just say 9/11 actually happened the way that the government said it, right? 110%, everything that they said was true. What is the most noble thing that we could have done on September 12th? Was get up that next day and say, we forgive you. We're not going to go to war with you. We're going to stand our ground, and we're going to just rebuild, and we're going to do, we're going to be that pure, strong nation that we are. That's actually what a true spiritual, noble, understanding, human, loving being would do in the position of power. Even if that's actually what happened. Now, of course, we know that that's not what happened, but even when you look at it in this spiritual context, that we are all one, then that's the thing that we should have done. Of course.
I couldn't agree more, and that is so true. And therein lies the true benevolence, in having the power to retaliate, but more importantly, having the wisdom to have pity on those that would have to stoop to that level to do something of that nature. that for me, that speaks volumes of exactly what should have happened. And therein lies the power of the rah America, patriot, and selling that whole mentality to a people. And again, one of the things I make a very big point of this, the U.S., the us, had to be hit the hardest in terms of pouring on the American nightmare, aka dream, and really it was complete materialistic feeding of the ego, excuse me, that trapped everybody into that psyche, and it was very easy to turn that key in the other direction. But people are awake now, and that's the thing. America as a nation is awakening, and that was a sleeping giant, and it's awakening to the truth. And you're not seeing. Well, look at the protests as a prime example. There haven't been any violent protests whatsoever.
Yeah,
they've all been peaceful, and that's the truth that needs to stand. It is the silent defiance that wins the day, because in the silence, the quote enemy unquote has to look in their own mirror and listen to their own thoughts and start questioning their own being. That's the true power when you hand it back. That's placing the hot coals back on the head of the enemy to deal with. And of course, you said it right. You said it perfectly. Okay, yeah, we know that this has happened. Listen, we're big enough to understand that there's obviously something wrong. We'll rebuild, and let's try to sort this out. And we don't need to go to war, but there's no money in that for the military-industrial complex, you say, and we know that. Yeah. Anyway, that's all fear porn, and we don't even go there. But beautiful example. Thank you, Marty.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's the same too as support your troops. It's like, yeah, I support the troops. I support you by saying, don't get aboard that aircraft carrier and go and shoot some brown people for mad. Call collateral damage. You know how I'm going to support you? Stay at home and make love to your wife. Go, coach Little League. Go do whatever you're going to do. Don't go over there and fight. That's how I'm going to support you. That's to me is like a, once again, I mean, you could say spiritual, whatever, but just humanistic. Look at the world. And I don't see how in the next 20 years people are going to end up, denying that or wanting to shut that off. I mean, if things keep going the way they are, then I hope that turns around. Because things need a change.
Well, they are turning around again. My dear love Sue had a beautiful saying she came up with, and I use it all the time. Because it is pure truth. Hope is for the ill-prepared. We don't hope now, we just do. And that's the thing. When you're out doing shows like this, Marty, and we're doing it, I don't know how many hours a week now. It's I lose count most weeks. But the simple fact is, we are making literally the consciousness effort to upload into the Akashic and to get the word out to the consciousness, in that we are all connected as threads. And that information travels down the ether highway, and it does get home. And it's only up to us, once we reach a certain frequency, to hold that frequency, because the dominant frequency, as a musician knows, is the one that rules the room. And all we have to do is keep playing that same high note and playing it loud, and the other notes will finally come up to resonate with it. That's natural law.
Yeah. Well said.
We stand opposed here, and I know you do. And again, I've been connected with so many people over the years, watching their collective works. Santo, especially Santo, over the last year and a bit, working very close with him, and watching all the people around us. It's just been amazing. And Tony, he's been Tony and Santo are probably two of the people I've worked with the closest and the longest. And it's the same message, just told from a different perspective, and it's beautiful. We have won. That's the end story. There is no question of that. And the youth, I got to tell you, I get email and Facebook contacts all the time from every level of individual, from younger people in the mid to late teens, all the way up to retired and beyond. And they're all on the same page, and it's beautiful to behold. And that's where I know, regardless of the tests that I've been through, to actually just stay on the air has made it all worthwhile. And there's only one thing that we each need to say to ourselves every day: make a difference. Just go out and make a difference. And it just has to be one thing. I mean, pick up one piece of litter, you've made a difference. Go and hug one tree, and you've made a difference. Just make that one positive step forward. Those are baby steps that anybody can do. And you'll find that, after you've done the baby steps a few times, you're getting bored with it and you want to do more. And that's how this gets exponential. Start planting seeds everywhere. And that's what we do. That's what you're doing right now. And you're most welcome. Anytime you want to come on the air, you get something new and are all excited about the new song, please feel free to drop us a line. And we're pretty good at getting people on the air like yesterday kind of thing. So it's... we're all singing the same song here, so.
Yeah, I mean, well, thank you for that, by the way. Yeah, I'm actually in the studio right now. I'm going to release a record in the next year, something like that. Actually, a couple months, hopefully. So, but I think the important thing that I stress on too is that all spiritual work. I mean, basically, we're talking about the holy science. We're talking about that pie. We're talking about the whole thing, and that we are all one. And so that means that the people that are coming up right now have to say to themselves and look at that enemy and say, yes, I am one with you. Yes, I think you're disgusting. I think you're ignorant or whatever. But you have to say that I'm living on this planet with you and I'm in this carnation with you. I am one with you. If that message goes out, I think things will turn around. And that is basically the fundamental spiritual lesson that you learn from any tribe or any civilization that are really in touch with the harmony of the cosmos, if you will, is that recognition that we are one. Because when you realize that, then you can't hate another. You can get frustrated. You can look at them and say, hey, that's ignorant, but you can't hate. You can't call people stupid. You can't put another person down. You can't do it. You just can't,
Agree.
And I think that, out of all the things that I've got from this, out of this, looking at the symbol and looking at the ritual and the mythology and the mathematics and the language, it's that message. Like the idea that we are all one is that we are living in this idea of a matrix or a hologram. Well, holo means whole, and gram means message. So the idea that we're living in a matrix or a hologram is basically saying that there's a whole message, and that message is wholeness. It's as simple as that.
Well, that's the point. We've gone through all the division and the distraction and the negatives of all of this, and we've still got to come through to the other end and bring it back to put it to bed, really, to complete the cycle.
And in a hologram, too, it doesn't matter how many divisions you have, the whole is in the part. So we can look at any division we want, and we're going to see that there is that wholeness there.
Yeah, exactly. That's the beauty of it. But, I bet you didn't expect a conversation like this tonight.
I'm a little off kilter, to be honest, man. Sorry.
No, that's good.
I don't know if it's the day or last couple of days or what.
I think we're all a little off-center, but one of the things that we do take pride in with the shows that we do is that there are no rules. The show will go exactly where it's meant to go, and it's all felt its way through, and the truths get revealed in that process. So that's what I've been finding, and same with Tony. So we've talked about everything that we absolutely needed to talk to because we did, you see. It was all pre-sent to us. I live in the perfection of the moment.
Yeah, I mean, going, when we were talking about phi before, and the fact that you can get this ratio in a pentagram, like one part of that line is 0.618, and then the other is 1. So the 5-sided star, you can get the ratio of phi, which is, of course, 5. Going with the flow is, the word river. R is 5, I is 5, V is 5, E is 5, and R is 5. It's a continuous phi. So going with the flow is basically going with that phi of creation. That golden mean, that golden proportion that swirls everything into existence.
Absolutely. I was going to ask if are you in Albany, by the way?
Wisconsin, not in New York.
Okay, and I was kind of wondering there. I've done a search for your Skype, and only one comes up. It's Albany, United States. And it's not you.
Are
there dots in your name, by the way?
No. I think it's just Marty Leeds on Skype. Yeah. So. Yeah,
only one comes up, and it's not the one. So anyway, we'll work it out. If you can pass that over to Tony, that would be awesome. I got some stuff I'd love to send you.
Oh yeah, please do. Yeah. Just friend me on Facebook or send the email. I think the email's on the site. So.
Okay, yeah, I'll definitely do that. I'm going to be checking out a few more videos and posting them around viral like I did with Bill and Sato and everybody else, is getting the word out that everyone can understand. That's the hard part, finding people that can get the word out where everyone gets it. So it's beautiful.
Yeah, I just did an hour video on Kundalini that I just really loved the video. So check that out if you'd like. I've gotten really good response from that, and it really kind of breaks down the numerology of Kundalini. And honestly, I just couldn't believe all this worked out the way it did. It was pretty magical to do. So.
Awesome. Listen, just briefly, I know the listeners are probably thinking, what's the best video in your opinion that they can go and watch and actually get the codes, and have you explain it to them on a simple basis?
Well, basically, I did 2 videos to promote both books, and the first is you can just look it up. It's Pi, the Great Work, that video, and that's only like 16 minutes. And that doesn't look at any of the language. It just basically looks at mirroring and then the number line. And basically, I make a case for finding the Holy Grail. My interpretation of it anyway. And then the second video that goes actually into the cipher is just called Pi in the English Alphabet. And that's it's 26 minutes or something like that. So you can watch both of them in under an hour, basically, and kind of get a gist of the material. And then I'm posting videos, like I said, every month. I post new ones. So I think there's about 20 videos to go through on a bunch of different subjects. And for all you conspiracy theorists out there, I do one on Skull and Bones. And that's only like 8 minutes. And I go over a lot of the different concepts. So I think that one's it's very digestible anyway.
I've got to ask, what's the conclusion on that one?
Skull and Bones?
Yeah.
Oh, just watch it. It's only 8 minutes. I don't want to ruin it for anybody out there. Yeah.
Don't ruin the ending yet. Or the plot. Yeah.
Kate, you know me. I question everything. I know
you do. I know you do. It's all good. Again, that's so funny. Yeah, I can't tell you to ruin the ending, right? Yeah. And that's kind of where we're at in that we're all working to become Santa Claus, the Santa Claus term. And really, the home stretch is when you can find the true benevolence within yourself. Can you make a perfect secret Santa? And that's the treasure hunt that we're on. This is the treasure hunt of the unconditional love within. Like Walter Russell, I love the ebb and flow aspect of the urge to separate from creation, matched only by the urge to return to the oneness in that breath, breathing in and out, the ebb and flow, the law of correspondence, Kybalion, etc. And there is definitely a man's work that needs to be made more mainstream, which, of course, when you're dealing with the hubris of the moronic scientific communities that like to branch out and not understand even where the tree is, it's a difficult thing. But here's the joy of what we're doing, because the average individual, like myself, and that's we're talking right now, and everyone listening, we all have that means at our fingertips to go and hunt the stuff down and read it for ourselves. And this is where I like to really bring home the point that people need to clear their canvases that have been painted on by other people, indoctrinated with, and start, grab your crayons and start making a new picture for yourself. And you'll find it be a whole lot prettier than the one they're trying to paint for you out in this illusion.
Yeah, and paint like the canvas doesn't stop either.
Exactly. There's no end. It's infinite.
Yeah. I think a lot of people don't, and I didn't for a long time either, that your life is a quest. It's a journey. It's the hero's journey. It's the alchemical transformation, whatever. Most people don't even realize that they're a journey. That it's an individualized journey, and that's what you're doing. And so this is why you get a lot of people when, they have midlife crises or whatever, or they look back at their life when they're 60 and they're like, shit, I didn't, I missed out. I missed on all that. And so we have a chance right now to kind of spread the word and be like, hey, you are on a journey, and it doesn't really matter where you are. You're 20, you're 30, you're 40, you can start it right now,
Yeah,
you just got to start it if you're 80.
You just got to find your part.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
There's no time limit. Well, we got about 2.5 minutes left here, so maybe if you could do some promo for yourself there, Marty, and let people know, the good people know where to find you. And of course, I'll be ramming it down their throats for the next few days anyway. But let's be nice about it. We'll let you do it first, and then I'll take care of the baseball side.
Oh, cool. Just MartyLeeds33.com, and then Marty Leeds on YouTube. And my books are available. You can get them on my site. It's CreateSpace or Amazon.com. And then, like I said, I got an ongoing web series, SchoolTheHolyScience.org. I'm on that site as well. So a bunch of different places you can get me. And like I said, I got a record coming out, and it's an ongoing web series. So I'm planning on posting another one next week. So.
Excellent. When I get your Skype, I'll post over some tunes. Maybe we can swap tunes. I've got free download site and whatever. Give you an idea where I come from. Music. And,
cool.
We'll get together and jam and write some tunes. But anyway, Tony, we got a minute and a quarter here, so it's all yours, my friend. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.
Excellent.
I just want to say thanks, guys. I appreciate everything. So.
Yeah, it's wonderful. If you've got a message to give to the listeners tonight, Marty, what would it be? Go with it.
A message to give to the listeners. A very simple one. It's the one that my mother always told me. Follow your heart. Don't.
Bingo.
Follow your heart. Follow your bliss. Follow what excites you. What keeps you positive. Where's the muse? Follow that. And I it's led me in great places anyway.
Perfect. Yeah, what floats your boat, lifts your anchor. Get on her, baby. Don't be a anchor.
Exactly. Yeah.
All good. Okay. Well, with that, we're pretty much going to get an auto shut-off going down any second now. So thanks, everybody, for listening tonight. It's been yet another wild show. Hope you all enjoyed it. And please come back again. We're on Wednesdays and Fridays on Freedom Reigns. Thank you, Kate. Thank you, Marty. And if you want to lead us out, Kate, go for it.
Yep. Thanks again for listening to Cosmic Blueprints with your hosts, Tony Z and Kate of Gaia, with special guest Marty Leeds. Much love to all. Happy solstice. Rock and roll. Okay, we're on recording now. Just perfect timing, guys. That was awesome. Thank you so much, Marty. That was amazing.
Oh, hey, I appreciate it. Yeah,
I love meeting new, beautiful people. This is so awesome. So thank you so much for coming on. And the door's open, my friend. Just knock. You don't even have to knock. Just come walking in and say, hey, I got some shit to talk about. Let's get her done.
Well, yeah, maybe when the next book comes out or I get some more videos out, we can do another one. Yeah, I feel lately like I've been oversaturating the web.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Right.
You can't oversaturate the web with truth, and we do everything in our power to support those around us that are getting the word out, because we know how tough it is. I mean, Tony and I are both all in, have been for years, and I mean that in the most literal sense. You have no idea. But, yeah.
Talking of which, Kate, one thing I wanted to get to tonight that we didn't manage to get to, and I would like Marty to understand it. Kate's an etymologist, and she's been breaking down words, as you might have gathered, but on a massive level. And we've actually got people that have deciphered the alphabet, as in H, for example, as above, so below, as left, as right. Do you see what I'm saying? The Holy Grail being the letter Y, etc. White's the letter Y, how it symbolises it, the geometrics behind it, the phonics, all sorts of aspects we've gone into in
really
many different angles.
Yeah, that's kind of what I do. So
yeah,
there. It's really cool. Like I was saying before, it was like this is kind of 101 with this material. There's so much more to discover. There's just so much more. And so hopefully, this starts that ball rolling anyway.
Yeah, I would describe what I do as a green language etymologist.
Oh, cool.
I can take any word and rip it to shreds to a point that most people would get bored with one word. I could spend an hour on one word.
Well, what really got me into this was James Joyce's Finnegan's Wake. I don't know if you've read that or not, but I mean, that book is just, it was really the first time that I actually had to, because usually you just read books, you just read left to right, you just kind of go over the words, you don't even concentrate on them, but that book really broke down language, because it was like you had to read every letter and every syllable, and it just completely changed my perception. And that guy was, I don't know if he was an alchemist or not, but whatever he was a master. I mean, that book is just fantastic.
Yeah, a green language speaker, and really what it is, the mastering of the green language is being able to see and hear it at the same time. Take the spell, rip it apart, mirror the word in your mind backwards as well to see where the layers are. And when you get the fundamental understandings of sections of words, the letters themselves, their individual spelling. Literally, there's a sentence in every letter. But again, the order matters as well, right? So it's quite fascinating, and that was the matrix that downloaded in the summer.
It is literally magic in hologram. It's a magic.
In the truest sense, it is, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a scholar I put in the third book I did where he's talking about the first verse of Genesis, which I break down, and he says that the entire Bible can be put into the first verse of Genesis, and then that into the first word, and then the first letter is actually where all of the story is of the Holy Bible, and the first letter of the Holy Bible is I, which I thought was really interesting. So
totally, it's all there.
Yeah. So it's like the first thing that you got to concentrate on. What's the Holy Bible talking about? Well, obviously you know.
Exactly. Well, I'm gonna hunt you down on Facebook first. I'll give you my Skype, and definitely because we've got one monster circle of people that you definitely want to be a part of. Our typical listenership is averaging between 40 and 50,000 per show. So you got word out to a lot of people tonight, and that's what we want to make sure of. So.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah, we've got a good following now, and it's only because of people like yourself and what we talk about, and Santo and Mark Passio, and the list goes on down the line, bringing all these beautiful people into an open forum. And thank you so much for speaking freely. This is what our shows are all about. We don't hold any punches. It's a no holds barred. Let's just get her done and rip out. And like I said, I meant it. When we don't bring the show right outside the box or to the cosmic blueprint level, people are, they get bored. They love what we do, and they love the people that we bring to the table. So you've just been another beautiful aspect of that. So thank you so much for coming on.
All right. Well, yeah, thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. So.
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun. Promise.
Maybe next couple months or something. Maybe we could do a show too of just like subject oriented too, where we could just kind of talk about one thing or something too, if you want. Yeah. It's up to you, whatever. I like going with the flow, whatever, So.
I mean that we do well. Typically, I'm at least 9 2-hour shows a week. So there's lots of room all the time. If you have something that you just want to kind of get out there. Subject-based or whatever you want. Just all you got to do is let me know, and we'll work it.
Okay, cool, man. I appreciate that. That's great.
We'll get in somewhere, and not just this station. There's other stations we work with and affiliated with, of course, American Freedom Radio, These Changing Times Radio, Freedom Reigns, awakeradio.co.uk, Truth Central Radio. It's all we're connected with all of them. So wherever you want to be, whatever you need, just let us know. That's what we do.
Awesome, man. I really appreciate that, guys. Thank you.
No problem. And make sure your books get promoted as well, because we know the importance of eating, and I'd rather them be buying your books than buying some, Dances with the Stars, greatest hits novel,
I just bought that. What are you talking about?
Oh, I didn't mean to insult my intelligence. Anyway, much love to you. We'll let you rock here, so there'll be people chomping at the bit to get this download now. I know that by now it would already be up, but we're still talking. So this is actually on it'll be on the recording, so this is all available for you as well. Okay?
Okay, cool. Thanks a lot, guys.
Marty, love you. Take care. Have a great
soon. Yep.
All right. Cheers.
Bye.